Kelly Ettrich, and I am with Century 21 Redwood Realty. I have been in real estate for almost 9 years, so I'm in my 9th year.
I'm Bailey Mezzullo. I am also with Century 21 Redwood, and I am a brand new agent. I've been in the business for just 1 year.
So Bailey is actually somebody that I'm super excited that joined Redwood because I've known Bailey's mom for years. She actually has been the photographer at all of my holiday client appreciation parties. And Susan and I were talking, and she said, I have this wonderful daughter who is wanting to go into real estate. Would you mind taking some time to talk with her? I'm super excited that you're here.
I'm so excited to be here.
So Bailey, I know when we sat down and talked, you shared with me why you had wanted to go into real estate, but I'd love for you to share that now. So why did you go into real estate?
So I have always been a very big people person, and I didn't go to college, and I went right to coaching, basically coaching CrossFit. And that's kind of where I was like, oh, I really care about people and care about their journey to get fitter, to get healthier. And that kind of transformed into more of like a managing side for a little bit at the same CrossFit gym I was at. And from there, I was like, okay, I want somewhere in my career that I can grow and have no cap, and continue to create this big future for myself and really not have like a boss. I'm my own boss in real estate, and I'm still able to work with people every day and be helping them from point A to point B. Like, I just love helping people through a journey of anything, and fitness was huge for me, but also like someone buying a home, that's the biggest purchase they'll make in their life. So that for me was always a huge driving force coming into this career.
And I think being service-minded like that, wanting to help somebody with the journey, is really going to help you be successful.
I think so too.
In this career. So I'm curious, when, because I can reflect back on myself being a new agent, but for you, what has been some of the biggest struggles of getting started in this career?
I think it can be overwhelming how much training is offered, which kind of seems like contradicting, but because there's always so much training with a title company or a mortgage company or at your own brokerage where you're talking about contracts, like there is so much to real estate that the first year I was like, okay, I've been to all these trainings, but what just happened? I have no idea what I just took in. So I think being very mindful about the trainings that you're attending, that they're the ones that are almost like a good foundation builder. I think the little extra pieces can be, you can still attend whatever you want and take it all in, but for me, it got very overwhelming. So I found going to the ones that were based on contracts and putting in offers and how to price a home, things like that, where I knew I would need to know how to do that and generate leads and things like that. Classes like that were more important to me, and having someone to reach out to like you, having almost like a mentor to help you along the way. Because it's easy to get lost with, everyone in real estate is so helpful, but it's so easy to get lost and overwhelmed in all of that.
It's funny, one of the things that you and I talked about, is how do you balance your time between building that group of your real estate network. So other realtors, title company, lenders, right? All the pieces and parts that fit into the real estate transaction. How much time do you spend building those relationships versus trying to build relationships for gaining clients? And you're right. You could probably go to something every day. You could almost be at a happy hour every evening. And while they're valuable and they're important, other real estate agents are not going to pass you leads, right? It's not going to be a way to generate business. And so I think it's so good that at the 1 year mark, you're reflecting back and saying, okay, how much time do I really want to spend on that task? And yes, you want to have relationships because when you're on the other side of a transaction, right, it's really helpful if you know that person, but that cannot become where you invest your time and resources. It's got to become with your sphere. And when I think about how do you generate clients, right, so much of it is the attention that you give to the people that you already know. Because at some point they will know someone who's going to sell or buy, or they will be in that position, right? And then once they're your client, here's the other thing I'm amazed by. People nurture their clients. I'll get a call to come for a listing appointment. They bought the house 4 years ago, and I think, where's your agent? Like, didn't you just buy this house 4 years ago? Where's your agent? But once you have that client, they're like gold, right? And making sure that you take the opportunity to do pop-bys or to host a client appreciation party, even if that's for 3 people. If that's your client base in the beginning, right? Just a chance to really let them know how much you appreciate them. That's a good place to spend your time.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. Okay, so as a new agent, and I'm sure a lot of other new agents have the same questions as I do, there are just some things that for an experienced realtor, like, we want to know how things work and how we can make the most out of every single day as a realtor. So the first question I have for you, Kelly, is what strategies have you found most effective in generating leads and securing clients in this kind of market?
So I think that's a great question because it's sort of the most important part, right? Meaning you can learn the forms, you're going to learn the contracts, you're going to learn how to put together your marketing. But if you don't have clients, you're not writing contracts and you're not actually implementing marketing, right? So you've got to have clients. And I remember when I was a new agent, there were 2 pieces of advice that were given to me that I still carry with me today. The first was turn away nothing, no matter what it is. If it's working with a tenant to find a $2,000 rental, if it's working on listing the smallest condo, it doesn't matter. Take all of it. And why? Because business compounds over the years. So that tenant today becomes a buyer tomorrow. That buyer today becomes a seller in 5 or 7 years, right? And so you want to start wherever they are in that home journey process. And as long as you maintain your relationship with them, they will then become a client for life.
Yeah.
The second piece of advice that I was given was to not be a secret agent. And I remember, 9 years ago when I was just going to real estate, and it's a little bit scary to just put yourself out there in the world and say, hey, look at me, and you should work with me. And no, I don't have a lot of experience, but I'm going to work really hard for you and I'm going to figure it out, right? And so that's a little bit daunting to do that. But if you don't, nobody's going to know you're an agent. And it's crushing when one of your friends says, oh my gosh, Bailey, I totally forgot you were an agent. And I actually went on Google and I looked up somebody to work with me. What? Right? Like, it's a family member or someone down the street. And so I think finding a way to constantly remind people that you are an agent. And as you know, I've done that through a couple different video series that I have on social media. And that's really why I started. So I started this series, Why I Love Living in Loudoun County. And it had to do with making sure that everybody remembered that I was in real estate in Loudoun County.
Yeah, and I think that actually is a good segue because you do such a good job at marketing and doing the videos and everything. I want to know, how do you approach marketing properties to maximize exposure and attract potential buyers? Because you're talking about your clientele and everything now, but for those people who you want to attract to the properties who maybe aren't your clients, how do you best approach that?
Okay. So my goal is always to get people to a place where they can't stop thinking about that listing. So if you've ever noticed you want to get a new car, right? And I talk about this in my listing presentation, by the way, when I meet with potential sellers, but you want to get a new car and you want a white Mercedes SUV. All of a sudden, all you see on the road are white Mercedes SUVs. It's unbelievable. How does that happen, right? Like all of a sudden, everybody's driving that car. You can't stop thinking about it. So that's always my goal with marketing a property, is that I want people to be waking up their spouse or their parent or whoever and going, I can't stop thinking about that house. I need to buy that house. We need to get that house, honey, right? And so I do that really by giving people a couple different touch points. So the first is something visual to look at, right? And that's in the form of a video, that's in the form of photographs, and really making sure that those present the property in the most positive light and capture somebody's attention, first of all. Second, then, is to give them a chance to actually physically come into the property and look at it, right? So by having open houses, by making sure that we're approving all showing requests that come in, right? By following up with anybody who calls that may not have an agent that is looking for someone to show that property. And then the third thing is by giving them something tangible to touch and hold when they walk away. And I know a lot of agents have gotten away from having brochures and saying all of it's online, but there's something about, you come home from being out looking at properties and you throw that on your desk or you throw it on the kitchen island and it keeps catching your eye every time you walk by. And that just keeps reminding you of that feeling that you had when you were in the house.
Okay, so bouncing off of what we just talked about, can you provide any insights into effective strategies for pricing the properties competitively while maximizing the value for the sellers?
So it's interesting. I have a video I literally just put together with this question because you get asked that a lot by people who are selling, right? What's the most important thing? And I always say the most important thing is price. You've got to get the price right out of the gate. And when you're looking at price, it's so important to be realistic about what that home really has, right? So if, a seller says, hey, my neighbor down the street just sold their home for $820,000. That's what I want to list at. And you're saying, but are we comparing apples to apples? That home had a brand new roof. They replaced the HVAC 2 years ago. They did a kitchen renovation 5 years ago. And the home that we're selling has an original roof. HVAC units are 15 plus years old and the original kitchen, right? Those are not apples to apples. So really helping to guide that seller through that process of not only looking at the high level comparables, but really digging down into the details, right? And I think that's where you can add a lot of value as an agent. And then helping to explain to them that it is key. That first week on the market is prime time for all the people who are enthusiastic about that listing and want a chance to come and see it. And if you overshoot the price on it, one, they may not come to see it at all. And two, if they do come to see it, they may say, you know what, this is overpriced and I'm not willing to pay that price. They're not even in the mindset of I should offer lower than what that list price is, because people have become, over the past couple of years, so accustomed to having to offer asking or above, right? So getting that list price right. And then my recommendation is always to price a teeny bit below. And when I say a teeny bit below is, let's say we were going to go on at $815, maybe we'd go on at $8. I'm not suggesting we go on at $750, right? But just a little bit below what that market value would be, because that does then generate competition. And, back to the white Mercedes SUV, everybody wants what someone else has. Right. And so when you're able to generate that enthusiasm and that excitement over a property, you end up with competitive offers and it will drive the price up. When sellers say, okay, I'm afraid I'm going to leave money on the table, though. If I price it at 8 instead of 815, am I leaving that 15,000 on the table? I'm a firm believer that buyers will auto-correct the market. Buyers will bring up the price to the market value through competition. They'll also auto-correct downwards, but that takes longer. And now you've been on the market for 30 days, and now you've wasted time, money, and a lot of frustration. So that's fine.
That's perfect. I think that's well said. I mean, especially in this market today.
Yeah,
I think
especially in this market. You're right. And that may change if the market gets more balanced.
Yeah. So once you do get to that point of multiple offers and you're doing negotiations, how do you best handle those negotiations, especially if they're difficult or if you have challenging clients who are hard to work with? How do you handle that?
It's a really good question, because for every easy, happy-go-lucky client that you're going to have, right, you're also going to have the ones that are more challenging or more difficult. And what I try to do is a couple things. One, I really try to understand where that person is coming from, right? So, you always hear walk in someone else's shoes, but I truly do. And I try to understand, what is their motivator, right? How are they motivated? And some people are motivated purely by money, right? Some people are motivated by what is going to be the amount of energy and effort I'm going to have to put into this, So maybe we have an offer for more money, but it's going to require me to fix some things, and I'm exhausted and done with this process, and that is not of value to me, right? So really trying to understand, what is their driver, what is their personality, and then I'm always trying to think 5 steps ahead. So I'm always trying to think, okay, so if we do this or we accept this, what is it going to look like 5 steps down the road? And are we still going to have this contract together, right? So what's the personality of the agent? How team-minded is that agent? Because you are going to run into hurdles. You are going to have roadblocks, right? And are you going to work together to try to solve those and help these 2 people keep that contract together to actually get to settlement, which is the ultimate goal for everybody, right? Or are you going to be working with someone who's going to be really difficult? And so I'm always trying to sort of anticipate what that's going to look like so that I know what move to make now.
I think that's great. And I think too, like you do a great job with that, and like watching you doing open houses and how you talk about offers and negotiating, like you do a great job kind of facilitating those different clients, even if they're not yours. You know, if it's another agent's clients, you do a really great job with that.
Thanks.
Welcome. That's all the questions I have. I know there's a million more we could go off of, but I think we touched on some pretty major questions all new agents have. So just thank you so much for all of your advice and insights, and I always love talking to you. So
well, and I always love talking to you. And any other questions that you have, I am here for you always.